Olympic Community of Health is a nonprofit in the Olympic region, which includes Clallam, Jefferson, and Kitsap counties and 7 tribal nations. We prioritize collaboration across the region, tackling health issues no single sector or tribe can tackle alone. This video series brings bite-sized conversations addressing local health challenges directly to your screen. We invite you to grab a cup of coffee or tea and join us as we dive into today's topic. OCH's overarching goal is for the Olympic region to become a recovery-friendly region, a region that supports prevention of substance use disorder before it starts, that provides adequate access across the region for evidence-based treatment, one that supports those who are in recovery, and that is there for our fellow community members if they relapse. Taking action to address stigma is no easy task. It requires a collective and culturally sensitive response. Many projects and efforts are challenged by community norms, lack of capacity and funding, complicated systems, and even various understandings of the presence of stigma. 2 partners who are implementing amazing projects to address stigma are the Jamestown Healing Clinic and Kitsap Public Health District.
I'm Molly Martin. I am a family nurse practitioner, and I'm also the executive director of the Jamestown Healing Clinic, which is a soon-to-open opiate treatment program in Sequim, and I'm drinking peppermint tea today.
I'm Kaela Moontree, and I run the Syringe Services Program at Kitsap Public Health in Bremerton, and I'm also drinking peppermint tea today.
How is your program addressing the stigma of substance use disorder?
My program addresses the stigma of substance use disorder simply, honestly, by existing, just by the population we serve, because we're still serving people who are actively using. So just by advocating for those folks and providing services for them, we are addressing the stigma. We have been closed for syringe exchange since March of 2020 at the actual health district. We have 2 community partners that we contract with to do syringe services. So we contract with Peninsula Community Health Services. They do syringe exchange in 4 of their pharmacies. And then we contract with the People's Harm Reduction Alliance in Seattle. They do mobile exchange in Kitsap County as the Ostrich Bay Exchange. And so they will literally meet people where they're at. People can call them and make an appointment, and they will meet them in a parking lot. They'll go to their home, wherever that person wants to meet them to do a syringe exchange. That's the gap that we fill, is that we're the only place that people can get clean syringes.
And do you offer other resources or things like that with any of the syringe exchanges?
Well, we offer other equipment to help them inject safely, and then resources. Peninsula is set up to, if someone comes in and needs more resources, they almost can do a warm handoff right there immediately, because they have substance use treatment there, they have behavioral health treatment, they have, it's a clinic, it's our FQHC. Yep. So they can do a kind of almost an immediate, or a very quick turnaround. How is your work with the Jamestown Healing Clinic working to address stigma?
Well, we're working in a lot of different ways to try to address stigma. One of the things that we think is really important is to have services that make people feel appreciated and valued. To me, the term methadone clinic has a stigma associated with it. And so we're not a methadone clinic. We're an opiate treatment program. And we consider ourselves to be an integrated program that couples SUD counseling with medical care and a whole bunch of extra services to help promote recovery and sobriety. But just by walking in our building, we're addressing stigma by having this big, gorgeous building. The tribe has a very open and accepting culture. I'm not a tribal citizen, but I just felt when I came to work there so embraced and welcomed. And they treat every patient, every person who comes to them in that respectful manner, as well as all of their employees who work for them. And I can see that in everything that we do at the Healing Clinic. Every decision that we make regarding a policy comes back to what is best for the patient, what is best for our staff, and what is best for the tribe. And we find a way for all of that to meet so that we can deliver culturally sensitive and appropriate care to all of the folks who we serve. We also put a lot of effort into making sure that the types of services that we provide are very sustainable and adaptable to meeting our patients where they're at.
I love that. For me, a huge piece of it is reminding folks of the humanity of the population that I serve, because they're people. They're people before they're anything else. And I love that they can come into your clinic and feel like they are as important as someone walking into any other type of clinic.
Exactly.
It's really important. And I think that's a huge piece of recovering, right? Of getting to where they need to be because they're feeling valued and respected.
Yeah, and I really like the shift that's been taken in healthcare and just sort of substance use services over the last several years of treating substance use disorders and opiate use disorder as a chronic condition or chronic disease, because we're removing the stigma around that you should only be in treatment for a little while and then you should be strong enough to not need this anymore, when in reality, like, we're giving you services that are going to help promote lifelong recovery. And if recovery takes years and potentially a lifetime, why wouldn't we consider having services that last that long? I recently became a parent, and looking at my daughter, everybody deserves this type of care. And I want to feel like I'm giving something back to our community, but also everybody was somebody's baby. Like, we need to treat people that way.
I wouldn't have guessed I would be doing this work even 10 years ago, but my history, I come from a long line of very successful addicts and a lot of people affected by substance use disorder, and I've been in recovery for over 20 years myself. And now I have my children are young men, they're in their 20s, and I'm watching them grapple with this illness. And it's whether they're, just kind of thinking about how, like, my family history or their family history, or really how it's rearing its head in their lives. And it's for me to do the work I do and to treat the folks that I serve with dignity and respect, and to be able to turn and do the same thing with my children when they're struggling, is really important.
Yeah, I've encountered with a lot of the community partners that we work with, like, there are so many people doing so many amazing things, and you don't sometimes hear a lot about it. Like, I didn't even realize how many amazing resources and groups are out there in this region until I started working with the Healing Clinic, and you start making all of these connections and realizing that, like, oh, if there's one need that I'm not able to help a client with, like, somebody else probably can. And getting a really strong referral network and being able to put a name and a face together and being able to ideally do like a warm handoff for a client so that they feel like they're going to another trusted person to help them is really important when when people are facing stigma every day and oftentimes don't know if who they're going to be interacting with is going to be supportive of them or not so supportive of them.
There's a Desmond Tutu quote about we need to stop pulling people out of the river, instead go upstream and figure out why they fell in the first place, why they're falling in. And I think that's what we're missing. Like, the work that we're doing, we're pulling people out of the river, but why are they falling in? And that goes back to adverse childhood experiences. Like, so that's for me what I think about is, what is it? How do we address those issues? How do we address those issues with the populations we serve? How do we address that issues with families so that parents aren't passing on that trauma to their children, or they're figuring out ways to address it, and they have more tools to raise their children differently than they were raised, like all kinds of things. But if I get caught up in that, I almost get stopped in my tracks. I can't move forward at all because I can't fix the whole problem. And so it paralyzes me, and I have to focus on what I can do.
Yeah, I can totally relate. Sometimes you feel like that, just as one person or one organization even, that there's such an enormous need, and you want to be able to help as many people as you possibly can, and that you could give all of yourself and still it's not nearly enough. But then, like, it restores my hope seeing like that there are so many other people out there doing
the work,
doing things that relate to this, and it's just like we're all going to take a little piece of this and try to help as much as we possibly can. That's, to me, why we keep doing this. Is I may see somebody numerous times for like that first intake assessment. But I'm going to remain hopeful, and I'm going to keep doing it over and over again, because it may take multiple tries and multiple attempts before there's some shift, and we can get them, and we can get them the help that they need at that time.
Yeah. I think too, for me to remember is when, I get paralyzed when I look at the big picture, but to remember that we're helping people on a smaller scale.
Yes.
And sometimes all I can do to help someone is sit with them.
Yep.
Right? I can just be present to their experience. And sometimes I don't know what the impact is. Like, I may have helped them without even realizing I helped them because I sat with them when they needed me to. And that I'm creating a place where they can come back because they know that they were treated with kindness and respect.
Yeah.
And you just don't know. We don't know what the effects of our actions are. We don't know what the ripple effect is and how that might play out. It just sometimes feels so futile.
Yeah.
And I think too, it's remembering that what I think is helpful might not be helpful. Like, exactly. I can't go in with my own agenda because that might not be what the person has in mind that they need.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes a listening ear and a kind heart, like that's really what somebody needs in the moment. And the more that you do it, the more that trust and relationship is built, and you'll be able to connect with them with whatever else they need in the future.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The Jamestown Healing Clinic and Kitsap Public Health District are paving the way to a recovery-friendly region. They described that addressing stigma is a complex health issue that requires a collaborative approach. There are plenty of opportunities to maximize community strengths, elevate individual lived experience, and work together to better support the Olympic region. Here are some ways that you can join Molly and Kaela in the work to address stigma of substance use disorder. There are many opportunities to enhance your skills. By either taking a training or doing your own research, you can equip yourself with the tools that make a big difference. Topics like trauma-informed care, harm reduction, reducing bias, and person-first language are a few examples of topics that help address stigma. Part of preventing substance use before it starts is through positive youth development, the philosophy that young people are assets to be cultivated, not problems to be fixed. Through youth engagement, we can work alongside young people in the region to address and reduce stigma. Elevate the voices of people in recovery and individuals with lived experience with addiction. Olympic Community of Health shares stories of recovery through our Recovery Hero campaign. This campaign shines light on the value and dignity of community members and how they use their own experiences to address stigma and support their neighbors. We would love to hear from you if you know of a recovery hero with a story to share. To explore more about stigma, access regional findings, and learn about local innovative projects across the region, go to our website at olympich.org/stigma.